Sorry, everyone. Sorry. Hold on. Welcome back to the show. How are you? Sorry, everyone. Sorry about that. Yes, we're back. Oh my gosh. Yes, the hamster died. Well, he didn't die. He just needed a break, and we're back to relative abnormal. Hi, how you doing? Welcome to the show. So, I've been building things and assembling things and disassembling things and carrying things, and I smashed my finger something good. Look at that. That's nice and purple. Oh, that looks gnarly. Yeah, that was that's a good. That is a solid experience. There should be sound. There should be. Everybody got sound, all right? I think it's very strange when the Facebook and the stuff starts to act odd. And hello, everybody. This is this is pretty gnarly. So I'll heal. You know, I've had worse, and it's on my picking hand, so I'm less concerned. Ultimately, yes, arnica is fantastic for bruising. Welcome to knowing that. I have a rabbit. What are you talking about? What? So, anyways, hi Sasha from Australia. Hi everybody. And those of you that are joining us late today, I apologize. I was a lot of house stuff going on today. So there was the deliveries of furniture and therefore old pieces of furniture that were being donated. So both things had to happen as a mad shuffle. And of course, I'm the vice president in charge of carrying heavy shit in the house, as many of you know. And Trump lost again. Have we added another house, or another state again? Twitch is down. Oh no, Twitch is up. We're good. Twitch just went online, or took a moment for it to. I don't think it trusted me after last time. It was still dealing with the pain of me vanishing out of nowhere. Luna is wonderful. She's. I have not given a picture of her yet because every time I go in there to take a picture, she retreats into her little box. And Summer has some beautiful pictures on her Twitter of her. Hello, Elizabeth from Bonnie, Scotland. I love you, and I can't tell you how much I miss you. Raphael, thank you so much. Supreme Court threw out the Pennsylvania case. Wow, a lot happens when I'm carrying old shelving units. I don't even know what to call that thing. Thanks. Yeah, my hair is quite heavy metal day, and yeah, so I'm scruffy and ratty and awful today, and we'll just deal. That's just life. Yes, and rip Chuck Yeager. We're big fans of NASA and The Right Stuff, and all those movies in this household. Well, a lot of Rocky and Rockets. That's Summer's taste in movies in a nutshell. My girlfriend's taste in movies. Rocky and Rockets. If we watch NASA movies alternating between Rocky, we're good. We're solid. Jenna Ellis has COVID. Son of a... I go away for 2 minutes. The whole thing... If you're not seeing audio or video, please reload your page. Remind everyone to reload. Tell everybody to reload their page if they're not seeing anything. Reload your page if you're having problems. If you are having... Because I keep going, oh, they should be able to hear me, but they can't. Page if you're having problems. That might do it, especially if you're... Yeah, so we'll get to Jen Ellis having stuff. But there's a couple of things. One is, this is kind of...
Loves America, and he loves those who defend and protect it.
Why are
the bill we're talking
Shut
about
up.
taking up, does not do that.
Shut up.
As a person who has been privileged and
What's
proud
wrong
to
with
spend
you?
over 3.5 decades in uniform...
Get out of here. Pay attention.
Love...
There. I don't know why you think you can talk without permission from the master of the keys. I don't understand. Well, I do have my concerns about anybody who was within fart shot of Rudy, because as we have mentioned on the show before, there is a decent amount of evidence about, and I have to say, this is one of the most disgusting clinical terms that exists, which is fecal oral transmission. So, nice work if you can get it, Rudy. Sorry, Jenna. This is just, honest to God, this disease is spreading through the administration, and its main carrier is clearly, I think, human centipede behavior. But that's true. You can go if you dare, you can look that phrase up. But yeah, so you can break wind and spread. I mean, I'm just saying, yeah, that Rudy Giuliani's a disgusting cretin. Also, let's just go to this. So the Freedom Caucasians met outside the Capitol today. You're familiar with the Freedom Caucasians? They are the rightist of the righty rightness in the whitey whiteness of the Republican Party in the House, which is controlled by the Democrats right now. And there's some mask wearers, obviously not completely on the team. And then there's some who, believe that the sun shines out of Donald Trump's rectum, and therefore they're not wearing a mask, buddy. Okay, you get me? And in their particular case, there's America's dumbest congressperson, Louis Gohmert, speaks at one point, and some people have focused in on something that happened to him when he was speaking. We'll get to the SCOTUS ruling during this. Honestly, he did have a candy cane tie. So I don't think Rudy's out of the hospital, insofar as I know. He just went in yesterday. I wouldn't send him home if I was them. Yeah, I call them the Freedom Caucasians because while I'm not all in on the racial profiling of any group for that matter, including white people, especially when they kind of blanketly go, well, I mean, I can't say Jews, so I'll say white in this context. That happens a lot. But in the case of the Freedom Caucasians, the Freedom Caucus in the Republican part of the House is very much that. There's no even ghost of tokenism in this circumstance. They are simply, that's what you get. So they were mad. They held a presser outside. It says this is on Fox News. House Freedom Caucus hold presser. I appreciate their proper use of tense here. This, that's the proper plural of caucus, I suppose. Hold presser slamming House Democrats. Well, I hope everyone on the House Democratic side is okay. I hope they're recovering from the slamming that they got. I enjoy it when I see online, or especially Raw Story does this a lot, where somebody slammed, dragged, people get, bashed or throttled or that kind of thing. And then the next day they're on television. So I'm just taking the whole slam thing with a grain of salt these days. I'm just saying. So let's hear what the Freedom Caucasians have to say.
America, and he loves those who defend and protect it.
I only assume we're talking about Trump.
The bill we're talking about taking up.
Well, are you taking it up or are you talking about taking it up? I mean, it just lets me know what kind of a politician you are.
Not do that. As a person who has been privileged and proud to spend over 3.5 decades in uniform, I stand with these folks behind me, these patriots. I stand with the president and saying, do not take and do not make hostages of our service members for these needless programs that don't have any.
Oh, this is about the NDAA. They're mad because the NDAA is going to pass. There is a veto-proof majority that will pass it, even if Trump vetoes it, because he wants Section 230 taken out, and he doesn't want the provision that Elizabeth Warren put in that renames bases that are named after Confederate generals, which I gotta say has to be a no-brainer at some point. Honestly.
Thing to do with hitting the mark. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the National Defense Authorization. National defense.
Right. So why would you not pay soldiers and not pay for every element of our military because you want to protect the historical monuments in name only, I suppose, of Confederate generals, people who attacked the entire concept of the country you fought for. And then what? So because the president wants a section stripped out By the way, Section 230, which says that basically Twitter and Facebook and all those things are not publishers of the content that are on there. They're not directly responsible for what you say, like a newspaper is with the journalists it hires and the editors that dissect and reassemble what the journalists put together. No. Your posts, they want to take away Section 230, which effectively makes you a free journalist for all social media, I suppose. But the fun part is, and the part that has me the most torn, and I'm sure you feel the same way, is that with the repeal of 230, if that actually happens, in the words of Harold Ramis, Trump would lose his Twitter account in a day, because without the protections of 230, all of those social media companies would be responsible for the words that they're saying, that are said on their platforms, just like they paid a journalist to say them in a newspaper, and therefore they would be financially liable for everything said on their platform. How many social media sites do you think would still exist if they were financially responsible or even criminally responsible for activities that were fomented or talked about on their sites in any way? What one would be left? And certainly Trump would be the first to go. 230 is one of the only things that's kept his account alive all these years. And the amount of policing they would have to do would be draconian beyond measure and make it, next to useless, effectively. Understand, YouTube would just be shut down. That's gone. Twitch would have to go 100% gaming and only and they'd have to have an algorithm searching every word you said. Like, it's just dumb. But that's what these guys, how dare they hold our men and women in uniform hostage, because these guys want to protect the president from Section 230 so that #DiaperDon doesn't embarrass him anymore. That's why, by the way. That's why he's screaming 230. And then the other one being, that they want to protect Confederate generals' names.
It burdens our military by requiring to comply with climate and combat climate change.
No, they do not have to combat climate change. No one is going to be ordered to shoot down clouds full of carbon. The military will factor into its choices best available ways to fuel and supply energy to bases and vehicles and all that kind of stuff within the limits of the military and their functional usefulness. Nobody's going, well, if it's not a solar, unless you can make a solar F-35, let's not have F-35s anymore. It's friggin' dumb.
I will guarantee you this.
Guarantee me something. Go ahead.
Al-Qaeda, the Quds Force, China, is not burdening their troops with that. They're not burdening them with that.
Yeah, they're not burdening them with food most of the time.
It places limits on the withdrawal of U.S. forces and moving them around. The president's trying to get our forces closer to the fight. But the bureaucracy here, the swamp...
Hold on. It puts limits on removing forces, but he's trying to get them closer. So, what?
And the establishment doesn't want any of that. They think they're in control, not the commander-in-chief.
Well, they're in charge of the budget on it. They are in charge of financially how it's spent. And by the way, Murphy the cat is going to break into this room at any given. He has figured out how to open all doors. He is outside my door going, ow, ow. He's going to get in here at some point. I'm predicting it. Just get used to the idea. At some point, he's coming in.
Curtails the president's abilities to protect our southern border from drug trafficking, from human trafficking, from infiltration of all kind of manner of terrorists if they would want to come through.
Contractors that the president hired to build his wall smuggled armed Mexicans into the country illegally to guard the construction sites on the wall. Not on the Mexican side. They smuggled them into the United States to guard them on this side because they didn't want to pay Americans to guard the sites. That was too expensive. So okay. So the president is directly responsible for smuggling armed militia Mexicans into the country. But please tell us about the safety of our southern border.
How is that supporting national defense?
Explain yourself. I mean, I like how you said it. It doesn't mean anything, but go ahead.
It charges the Secretary of Defense to report to Congress by August of 2021
How much does it charge him? Is it $19.95? Can you do it in 3 easy payments?
on how it will increase the lethality and reduce casualties by reducing dependence on
Read that again. Increase the lethality? What? Hold on. Back up, you. Are we back to the point where, like, Safari just doesn't want to... Yeah, look at that. Just acts like a
Congress
jerk
by
for me.
August of...
Explain this. This is fun. Okay, there's a delay on this. Boo! This is, I don't know.
infiltration of all kind of manner of terrorists if they would want to come through.
Hold on. Okay, back up. Now, I need a run at this statement because I did not understand the words that were coming out of his mouth.
Curtails the president's abilities to protect our southern border from drug trafficking, from human trafficking, from infiltration of all kind of manner of terrorists if they would want to come through. How is that supporting national defense?
In what way? You mean because it doesn't pay for more of his wall? Is that what you're saying? Or does it just not let him catch bad guys? Why exactly do you think that the Democrats would want to stop Joe Biden, for example, from being able to stop terrorists and murderers from coming into the country?
It charges the Secretary of Defense to report to Congress by August of 2021 on how it will increase the lethality and reduce casualties by reducing dependence on fossil fuels by 30% over 25 years. At the
30% over 25 years. By 2050, you'll have to lower the amount of fossil fuels you use by 20. Honest to God, are we not going to have solved gravity by then? 2050.
very same time. At the very same time, the people in this town and the people on the other side of the aisle are making sure that America is more dependent on fossil fuels. And finally,
how are they making America more dependent on fossil fuels? I mean, you have to kind of explain that. You can't just say they're making us more dependent and then also scream about the Green New Deal and a bunch of shit the rest of the time, right? Anybody? Huh? Honestly.
And finally,
thank God.
most people that join the military take up a higher cause. It's a calling for them.
Right. And saving a bunch of people from being shot by a terrorist only to have them choke to death on carbon and get cancer and all kinds of other, either physically debilitating effects of pollution or diseases directly from it, or bioweapon attacks from countries like China, which is what they presume COVID is. When they don't think it's a hoax, they think it's an attack. But they don't take an oath to protect us from that. They take an oath to shoot somebody if they're told to, but not to never shoot somebody if they're told not to.
They want to defend America. They want to defend freedom. And
right. Freedom to breathe is a good one.
they will sacrifice themselves to do it. And they
Well, then, but what? Oh, thanks, Diane.
do it in part because they know it is a meritocracy.
What? They're not fighting for a meritocracy. That's up to the individual. That's like saying every soldier who takes an oath to go fight in foreign wars isn't fighting for people in wheelchairs because they can't, you can't get them to run errands for you. Like that kind of, like, what are you talking about? They don't fight for the meritocracy. They fight perhaps in their own lives to be a person of merit. There is certainly a strata of usefulness as far as human beings go, but they're not fighting so that we can practice passive eugenics.
That they will do the best because they are the best by the will of their and the dint of their effort. This bill actually takes all that away.
How does it take all that away? Why is it going to pass with a veto-proof majority?
And makes other reasons for promotion. Ladies and gentlemen, this bill eviscerates for the future our military.
Oh, wait a minute. Does he mean that people should be considered because they're people of color should be allowed to? I see. They can't possibly be brown and also beat you on merit. No.
And is a discouragement for everybody that wants to join and be their best and do their best and defend America. And that's why I'm voting against it.
Nobody knows what the hell you're talking about. But here, take your...
Chip Roy.
Well,
you tell him, man.
I'm proud to follow my friend Scott Perry, my friend Warren Davidson, both veterans, and my entire group of colleagues here at the Freedom Caucus. All of us are here together, standing alongside.
Weird. A caucus gathers together and does a press conference together. It's almost as if they're caucusing. They're rocking out with their caucus out. Sorry, that was just wrong. How would I even... All right. Play, you silly thing.
Men and women in uniform, precisely with a vote against the NDAA today. We're here today to be standing with them against a piece of legislation that has been, again, cooked up behind closed doors, cooked up by people and dropped on the floor with a one-size-fits-all gun to the head. You must vote for this bill.
It's the National Defense Authorization Act. That's how it's always passed. Here's a good idea. Guys, I don't know. Why don't we, and somebody perhaps can call the Freedom Caucus. Do they have a caucus line? Can you is it a banana phone? How does it work? But perhaps some of you can answer this question for me. Why don't we review every element of our defense budget in public? Why don't we do it all in open session? Anybody know? Anybody? General idea. Is there something about the military budget that, for, I don't know, the safety and security of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that might perhaps make you not want to address all of it outside, like not behind closed doors in the parlance of our times? Is there? No? You know, like how much funding goes to a certain area can give you an idea of how many people are actually there and what their status is. You can strata out the volume of personnel in an entire war zone or a theater of war or an embassy or a military base based on the budgetary constraints therein. It's one of the reasons why we have $500 hammers and $800 toilets, because that's one of the ways we hide stuff in the budget so you can't really tell, because dipshits like you want to go, look at what they wanted to buy. Look at this. And but for the record, the Democrats are the anti-national security party.
You want to know what's broken in Washington, D.C.? It's
the $800 toilet. Who's going to fix it?
We don't get to amend it. We don't get to go to the floor and have any debate.
No, you don't. You have to be on the committee. You have to earn a spot on the committee, and then you go to your actual group, your as the minority. And that's the other thing too, is you got to kind of be in the majority to do a lot of these things. But you do get your say in committee. Go talk to your committee members and go, why didn't you guys present this in committee and get this passed, or why did this not get added or subtracted? And they'll go, oh, because it was dumb. Because what you suggested was dangerous and stupid and a waste of money and racist in a lot of ways. So I brought it up in committee like this, but everybody knew, who wrote it, you guys. You had a chance to amend it. You don't.
I'm not going to walk down here on the House of Representatives floor and offer an amendment and have it heard. So we're not allowed to do that.
Gee, I wonder why. I would like to present an amendment today. I understand that the Black Hawk helicopter has upon it 4 blades on its propeller, and I would presume because the president says that wind causes cancer, that these things, that helicopters, especially the Sikorskys, especially the Black Hawks, which are very powerful engines, very powerful blades, clearly are spreading cancer everywhere they go. So out of fear for the pilots and the people who are in them, I think we should scuttle our entire helicopter force, because what are they, honestly, but like traveling windmills? I mean, you want to see a bunch of dead birds, go hang out under a helicopter. All the birds laying all over the place, just like windmills. All these dead birds, all of them got testicular cancer and fell out of the sky.
We're going to be forced to take it and vote on this bill, and it's a bad bill as drafted. We should be taking it back, starting over, and putting forward.
Yeah, start over with the NDAA in December. Start over. Just start over. Guys, it's only a 3,000-page military budget that has to be finalized every year that you guys have been working on all goddamn year. But let's just start over. Guys, we should start over. We can't, guys, I mean, we can't just fix the parts that don't work or call out and stage a walkout on one particular element, because then people will see that we're just a bunch of jagoffs who don't really give a shit about national security. We're just Trump's, fart sniffer brigade, and he wants 230 taken out, and we didn't add that added to the NDAA as a weird sidecar to the bill. And so we can't walk out saying that, because then everybody will know we're dipshits. So we have to pretend the whole bill is toxic.
Legislation that's good
and just say sentences
for our men and women in uniform. To my colleagues, I would say, if you vote for this NDAA, you are voting for legislation that's going to cripple small businesses.
Well, yeah, in foreign countries. I mean, it's just not, if ISIS opens an ice cream stand, it's just not going to last very long. What? Cripple small businesses. Those mom and pop nuclear warhead businesses that have been struggling during COVID. Well, I have people in my district, and they have on their farm, they have grown uranium tipped bullets for 25 years, and they are having a hard time. Play, rat. I'm going to have to hold on 1 second. I need to do something. Wait till this guy goes here. Back up real quick. I'm going to do something, because clearly there's something wonky going on. Close that window. Open a new window. Grab this. Take this. Copy that. Copy that. Pump that in there. Cut and paste. Excellent. Pop that in. There we go.
Loves America, and he loves those.
Great. Yeah, everybody loves America except when it doesn't act like you want it to act. Copy here. Add that. This will be better. Can't be bad. Can't be bad. Oh,
lockdowns.
Beautiful. Lockdown. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. And then we'll do this. Copy that. I'm just switching software. So apparently there's just some weird wonkiness with this business. Okay. Now we'll get started again, and we'll stop that piece of audio and back this up to where I was. Okay. Excellent. Hold on. Hey! You're not going anywhere. Don't hey me. All right. Freedom Caucasians. Now we'll get to Scuttlebeard. Okay. And we're back. Clean that up. Jesus. Yeah, I'll get the sound effects will start working soon. If I didn't have to build all that furniture, that was my game today, but then all this stuff happened. So hold on.
Some legislation that has been, again, cooked up behind closed doors.
Okay, we've already seen that.
Regulations right at a time when they can't take it. You're going to be voting for a piece of legislation that continues wars, where today there's a young man or a young woman who just signed up who wasn't even alive when we passed the authorization of the use of military force we're operating under. And you've got a piece of legislation.
You should have to consult the House and the Senate if you're going to unilaterally hand over chunks of the battlefield to Russia. It's one thing to go, we need to get our folks home. It's fine. Mission accomplished. It's another thing when you're doing those things strictly to give ground and bases, for that matter, in strategic areas of the world that are ours. It's one thing to go, guys, we got to blow up the base. We're leaving. And you got to, get a month to strategize about how we do this safely. To go, everybody out. No. Russia bought the lease. They're getting this. Well, then I'm going to add a golf course after I leave the presidency.
That's chock full of liberal priority projects like a chief diversity officer. A chief diversity officer.
Mm-hmm. Yes, a chief diversity officer. Something the Freedom Caucasians wouldn't understand.
That's what we're focusing on the NDAA when we're trying to defend the United States of America?
Yes. Yes, because when everybody has a stake in it, everybody wants to fight together.
And people are going to come and criticize us for saying, you're not supporting our men and women in uniform. You're leaving them out without pay. No, this institution putting a bill on the floor filled with all of these things, business as usual in Washington, are the ones undermining our men and women in uniform.
Well, if it's business as usual, then the NDAA passes without a blink every year.
Uniform. So we're here today to stand with them and to defend them, and I'm proud to stand with these guys. And I'd like to turn it over to my friend Dan Bishop from North Carolina.
Dan Bishop, North Carolina.
Thank you, Chip.
You're welcome.
I am the newest to Congress of anyone that's here today.
But I jumped right into the Freedom Caucasians. They came up to me and they said, hey, we like your accent.
And I'm the harbinger
of doom, of sorrow. Harbinger of sorrow, language of the damned harvester. That's harvester, sorry.
More strong members of the Freedom Caucus who are going to be here in the next Congress. And what has happened with the NDAA is that it is regarded as must-pass legislation.
Yep. Business as usual, as they would say.
And Washington, being Washington, has perverted its purpose.
Oh no. They put Pornhub subscriptions in it? What happened? Do all the military guys have to wear garters? What's happening?
So that people can achieve their own pet projects, things way outside the context of protecting America.
You mean cat trees and that kind of pet project? Or like making sure you walk them regularly? I mean, look, this is a lot of responsibility. If you want a dog, just ask.
As others have already spoken to, or as another example, the notion that we're going to pass in this legislation a requirement that every beneficial owner of every business corporation across America essentially has to register their name in a federal registry.
That benefits from military contracts? That we should know who they are and that they are actually American? That's weird.
Nothing to do with defending the United States.
Well, it might if you find out that some of these subcontractors are doing business overseas and they can't be trusted, and you're the ones who are claiming like it should be done in the States. Well, how do you know?
The item that troubles me most is
gay people. No? Gay soldiers, trans soldiers, diversity, the loss of the base in your district.
The restriction on the ability of the president to withdraw troops from Europe where Europe doesn't pay its share of its own defense costs.
Oh, I see. Yeah, so he can unilaterally gut NATO, and pants us and most of Europe in front of Russia to do the bidding of his financial masters. I see. Yeah, you might want to review that shit. Considering these are not hot wars, our soldiers are not in direct danger.
To withdraw troops from Afghanistan, where we've been, as Chip Roy said, for 19 years.
Nobody's stopping him from withdrawing soldiers. There's nothing in that bill that says you can't withdraw soldiers. I mean, there might be some additional funding for other actions there, and that's what they're talking about. Well, you can't just... He wants to take everybody out. You guys are funding police stuff that they're doing.
In order for things to change in Washington, things have to change in Washington.
Well, I can't argue with that. Okay, everybody. That's it. Should we just pack up? In order for things to change in Washington, things have to change in Washington. I'm sorry, I stroked out in the middle of that sentence.
The fact that this is a must-pass bill cannot hold Congress hostage to
You've done it before. Why not?
the provisions that have been stuffed in it. So I'm honored to stand with my
It's the turducken of NDAAs.
House Freedom Caucus colleagues to vote no on this bill,
Yeah, go ahead. Feel free.
and I will vote to sustain the president's veto.
So? Good job, man. Tough work. Solid. First vote out of the gate, and all you're going to do is vote not to pass the NDAA. Good luck in 2 years.
Thank you, Chairman Biggs, for organizing this. I'm Ted Budd from
It's very organized.
North Carolina's 13th District.
Sup, Ted Bud?
It's absolutely great to be here.
Isn't it?
You know, all of us here support our troops, and many behind me have actually served, but all of us continue to serve those in uniform right now. But this NDAA is flawed in so many ways, as many of my colleagues have mentioned.
Yeah, but they like wanting black people and Hispanic and Asian people to have advancement when they've earned it. And okay,
And my main
terrible.
concern here is what President Trump's concern is here, and that is that big tech has silenced conservative voices for too long.
Yeah, that's what the NDAA is about. I honestly that we need to stop. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks, babe. She brought me tea. This is iced jasmine iced tea, and it feels good just resting my finger on it, freshly smashed as it is. I am not drinking my own urine, for the record. That is not happening. If I was, I wouldn't put it on ice. Who does that?
And we should do something about it.
And no, it is not sweet, Cosmic Rose.
I support President Trump's veto threat in relation to Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act.
Because you're an idiot?
And
Why? Why? Tell me why the removal of 230 should be in the Communications Decency Act. What part of that should be in the National Defense Authorization Act? Because let's talk about this whole idea of adding stuff. That was their big complaint. There's a bunch of pet projects that are thrown into this bill that we have to chuck the whole goddamn thing. And what do they want? A pet project. They want Trump to have his way and have Section 230 thrown out and effectively gut all social media, which, by the way, again, would get him thrown off Twitter forever, so I'm torn.
what it does is it gives legal protections to big tech companies by defining them in that 1996 bill as platforms.
Yeah, they are platforms, they are not publishers. They don't choose who gets to go. You get an account and you choose what to say. And then they have terms of service that we all have to abide by, except, of course, Trump, who seems to blow through them all the time. And then they finally started checking some of you assholes, and now you're whinging.
But instead, today, they're acting like publishers by controlling the content.
No. Movie theaters are not movie studios because you can't yell fire in the theater. You understand? That is not an editorial choice by the people who put on, they can ask you to leave if you're talking. You have freedom of speech. Have freedom of speech. Why don't I have freedom of speech? Because everybody else paid to watch the goddamn movie. And we have terms of service. It's a private endeavor. You are here as a private citizen engaged in business with a private business. They can set the terms. And by the way, all of these assholes, if you cornered them, follow Rand Paul's agreement that if a shop owner wants to deny service to black people, they should absolutely be able to do it because freedom. That's what the Freedom Caucus believes. But what these guys want is a free service that you just join and you maybe watch ads and you can maybe pay to use advanced services of, like Twitter and Facebook and all those things, are platforms. But what they do have limits on is you can't come in here and just scream bloody murder or fire or gun or any of this stuff in the middle of it and scare the crap out of everyone, or use our platform to catapult your lies.
they're picking and choosing what we get to see.
No, you are choosing to lie and inflame political divisions over simple scientific pieces of information, and they're telling you to fuck off.
When they should be acting as platforms. You know,
Yeah, but a movie theater, if they were to allow people to yell fire and have a stampede and someone was killed because they did nothing about it, they didn't prosecute the person after the fact, or they just allowed people to, hey, come on in to our theater. This is the one theater in town you can yell fire in. You think they would ever remain open? And is that a violation of freedom of speech? There's a movie with a guy yelling fire. Yeah. We're watching a movie about firemen. We're watching Backdraft, asshole. We all know in here that when the character yells fire, it's in the movie.
if they don't want to act as a good faith platform, then I don't think that they should have these CDA 230 protections.
And here's the thing. And I think that if you don't act like a good faith participant, they should be able to deny the president an account on their platform. And you too. Just because you're an elected official, why does that make you special? Why do you get some privilege beyond the average citizen? Especially if you are endangering people in this process.
We've talked about this issue for way too long.
Yes, you have. Shut the fuck up.
And it's time to act.
No, it isn't.
And I support President Trump's line in the sand on this NDAA veto.
That's because you're dumb. This guy wants to hold Twitter to task for putting a Joe Biden won the election. Masks actually do help. The CDC says that COVID is deadly underneath tweets that you still get to post, which should just be taken down because you violate the terms of service. And they can set their terms of service. You don't have to be there. Piss off.
And I'd like to yield to my friend from Texas, Representative Gomer.
Gomert. And this is going to be good. You think it's been dumb so far? Whew. Get ready. I haven't watched it, but...
Thanks, Ted. I'm not going to repeat the things that my colleagues have said.
Good.
I couldn't do so as articulately as they have, but I do want to add one thing about Afghanistan.
Sure.
It hadn't just been 19 years. I mean, we've been an occupying force. And for those that don't know history...
Yes, the history of the Afghan conflict, or of what an occupying force means. Are we talking walls at Jericho? How far are you going back, Louis?
Occupiers have never done very well in Afghanistan. And some try to throw up Alexander the Great. He died leaving. I don't call that a big win. But anyway...
Really? Who the hell yells, well, what about Alexander the Great?
I have been with our Afghan allies many times.
Okay.
Since 2000,
Oh.
2001.
Oh, his tooth just fell out. Wait. He has a tooth right there.
Since 2000.
And he just gulp. Did he swallow it?
And allies many times since 2001.
Just cheek it till you can get it shoved back in there. Is it magnetic or is he just falling apart?
Since 2000.
Gulp.
2000.
The dupe? Really? 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 And it looks like it doesn't look like a cap or anything. It's just working its way down. I mean, it's where I think it's nice because he gets to put it under his pillow tonight, and The Tooth Fairy will bring. Well, he can't have the Tooth Fairy because he thinks the Tooth Fairy is gay because of the name. So his family will beat up the Tooth Fairy and steal its money and put it under his. I don't know how that works.
Many times since 2001.
Yipe. That and he just puts it, or just hold it in the cheek till you're done. Honestly, did that? I am genuinely confused because it looked like it had some silver on it. Watch and you'll see what I mean.
Our Afghan allies.
Watch.
Many times since 2000.
Yeah, see that? Did you guys see that? It has a little like that. It's not a cap. It's got a gold filling on it, on the top or something. Yeah, there it goes. I don't know why it muted.
2000.
What is happening to the Republican Party? Why are they're shitting their pants in front of entire groups of people and like Senate gatherings? Their teeth are falling out. Our pets' heads are falling off.
2001, when I guess about October of 2001, the Bush administration undertook one of the most brilliant strategies. We had about 300 special forces, special ops folks that were embedded with our allies.
You're just going to tell this story and pretend you're not cheeking a tooth right now?
The Northern Alliance. Within 6 months, they had obliterated the Taliban. We provided aerial support and weapons, and they did the job for us. But as our Afghan allies have pointed out numerous times in private conversations.
Yeah, that's good. Start telling us. Tell us about private conversations, Louis, please.
Look,
come on. They were like, when they're over there, they're all like, hey.
know you're going to have to leave at some point. You can't stay here forever.
You can't stay here forever. You got a hockey game to get to. You have to be on a porch playing a banjo close.
Ask is that the Constitution you forced on us that allows the president of Afghanistan to appoint our governors, appoint our mayors, appoint our police chiefs, just help us lobby to get an amendment so we elect our own governors, our own police chiefs, our own mayors, and then
we'll go back to Taliban rule, which and basically everybody who died here or whatever will just, we'll elect in the areas where where Al Qaeda trained the people that attacked us on 9/11. They'll just go back to doing that, and then the president won't have anything he can do about it.
You can go, and yeah, the Taliban may come in and take.
Yeah, maybe.
Over one province.
Yeah, the one province where they had camps before. I mean, have we not all watched Clear and Present Danger? Or I think it was Patriot Games, right?
But they won't be able to take over the whole country. But the way you have so centralized all the power in the president of Afghanistan, all they got to do is either bribe or knock him off. And by the way, when you leave, all of us that fought with you and for you will be killed. So when you come back again because you've been hit again, you won't have anybody here to help you next time. So there is no reason for us.
Well, if Louis puts it that way and that's the way they said it, I mean, I have no reason not to believe him other than the fact that he lost me in the middle of the story because he's cheeking a tooth that fell out of his face.
To stay indefinitely.
Uh-huh.
The president is exactly right about that.
About that.
So it's time to go.
It's
and we don't need, if Congress wants to declare war on Afghanistan, we have that power and we can do that.
Oh, good. It's just, I mean, honestly, do we need anything in the NDAA about that?
But short of that, we don't need to leave our troops there another 19 years. And I want to yield back to my friend Andy Biggs.
Thank you. I thank all of you for being here, and I thank my fellow members of the Freedom Caucus. And I just want
to thank Louis' tooth for distracting everybody and basically blowing our entire speech today.
Iterate something from the the sap that was put out by the administration earlier today, and that's this.
Tell us.
Because we are in the same place. The administration, I would say the House Freedom Caucus.
Wait, you're going to tell me that the House Freedom Caucus and the White House and Donald Trump agree?
Is ready to work with Congress on an improved NDAA or to separately enact critically important provisions of this bill, such as a pay raise for our troops and the renewal of expiring authorities through the appropriation process. We are ready to participate in this process.
Why would you put the pay of troops, which, by the way, if you know how much a private makes and a captain makes and a lieutenant makes and a general makes and what can be put in a budget for contractors and the other staff, you can tell who works at a base and how many people are there in general using the overall budget if you get a chance to look at it. And if you put those things in the standard appropriations, which is all done out in the open, you basically let every villain in the world know exactly how many troops are in every possible pocket of the globe, helping UN forces, peacekeepers, like all those people suddenly. I mean, it's like one of those movies where they release the knock list because you decide, let's do the budget for our deep cover ops in, in the transportation bill?
We would love to participate.
In what? Getting all of our soldiers killed and all of our bases targeted from space?
We've been foreclosed from doing that.
You've been foreclosed from doing that. Well, you should talk to Rudy Giuliani. He can help you out with home title lock.
And the result you get is a must-pass bill that's filled with frills and whistles that are...
Frills and whistles.
Have nothing to do with the national...
Is Gummy Gomer how we're going to do it?
...defense, as has been iterated by my colleagues. We thank you for being here.
I was moved personally. Not as moved as Louis' tooth, but close.
We stand with the president, we stand with the American people, and we stand with the military of the United States. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely. Cool. Were they shot at during this? What is this podium? Do you throw this together, the Freedom Caucus, you can't make a trip to Kinko's first? Again, why would I trust you to run things if this is all you got? Let's go, guys, quick. Let's all call together a poorly constructed Swift presser with no graphics attached to the thing for the Freedom Caucus. We don't have a good logo. Every time we sign up for one, we forget to copyright it, and it ends up on a NASCAR shirt. Is anybody even going to look for his tooth? There is a bunch of footage left of this. I don't know why. They just walked off. Really? Wait. Is this a permanent podium? Is this a metal podium that's just always there, like erected? What bill did they pass to have a permanent metal, reusable podium? That's what that is. It's a permanent podium. This is just always here.
Jim Jordan. They labeled it right here. That's Jim Jordan. Him everybody recognizes. Mm.
That's the list of guys who were supposed to be there or who were there in the Freedom Caucus. So that's the list. This guy's taking a picture of it because he's a photographer later, but they just left it. You just guys gonna litter your shit and leave? I'm coming back for my list.
It's good. I'm good. Yeah. All right, good to go. Yeah, it was close.
Yeah, it was good to go, man. Rock solid. Why is he not going to work? Where'd he go? They just left. Is that poor guy just shooting this? Is there a guy? I just want to know, is there a guy from the Freedom Caucus who's standing there? There's just a Fox News camera dude who's like, I'm here all goddamn day. I basically stake out this thing all day. Look how long this shit is going. Who's getting B-roll of this? Did you just, I mean, I've left my stream going, so I can't really say much. But this is 2 minutes, 7 minutes. There you go. Just make sure that we have plenty of this footage. Holy God. Okay, hold on 1 second. So, couple of things. One, I want to see this real quick because I know you guys were bringing this up. That more than likely, I'm guessing. Let's see. I'm trying to find. Yeah, no. I'm looking for the Jenna Ellis has. Oh. Slams Jenna Ellis on news. She tested positive for. Oh yeah. So Trump campaign and personal attorney Jenna Ellis is the latest in the president's orbit, one of literally more than 50 to test positive for the coronavirus. The news broke. As the news broke, CNN's John King chastised the attorney who's been repeatedly seen without a mask. Ellis informed the White House, Axios notes, stirring West Wing fears after she attended a senior staff Christmas party on Friday. I swear to God, they're just trying to murder themselves. To quote Dave Chappelle, I mean, clearly this is the result of the spray fart that she experienced. And she looks sane, though. That's a good picture. Guys! All right. Holy smokes. Okay, so what I wanted to show you was, this is, I don't know if you've ever seen this before. Like, we don't have, I'm pretty sure, let's see, 1 second. That guy's amazing, and I can't wait to get a copy of that jacket so I can play that character on Sexy Liberal. But I don't know if, I doubt it, if they put up let's see, if Rudy had another episode of, nope. Not another episode of Rudy Giuliani's Common Sense since since he got sick. So he didn't have one kind of already in the chute, in the Pez dispenser. And there, sorry, I didn't mean to scare your cat. I apologize. But this was the last one with this video or whatever, and they're super excited about it. But this is amazing. Did you guys know that Ted Cruz has his own show on YouTube? I did not. Ted Cruz has a show, Verdict, with Ted Cruz. So if you want to get Verdict with Ted Cruz, Tiny Dick with Ted Cruz. Those of you, let's see, is there? Yeah. So this is episode 61. This is the most recent one. And Ted Cruz has his own show, Verdict with Ted Cruz. And this guy is the host. And Ted Cruz's show is this guy interviewing Ted Cruz. That's what they do for all of these. That's the pitch. It's Ted Cruz wants his own show, so he's going to like interview movers and shakers and politicians and talk about issues of the day. No. It's he's got a buddy who looks like he's really pissed that you got to turn in your paper 2 days late and still got a better grade than he did. That insists on wearing stuff that he got that his grandmother was throwing out when his grandfather passed. As a style, and it's like it's between two Scourge. This is a show. I have never watched this. I stumbled across this and I was like, no, it's got 181,000 subscribers. Now most of them are Russian bots. We know this. They pump their own numbers. They pay for them. A lot of, there's these like Indian YouTube farms where all these people like have 5 computers and they just watch videos and you can pay them to do it. I've never done that, which is why all my numbers are organic. But these guys, this is amazing. So I've not listened to this, but here we go.
Executions. Men in dresses.
Wait, what? Hold on. I came in. How can I come in the middle of that shit? Wait, what? Back up. Stop it.
Lockdowns.
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 Executions.
Executions.
Men in dresses.
Ah! Everything has gone to hell.
This is Verdict with Ted Cruz.
Okay, sure. Well, that's lockdowns, executions, men in dresses. This is Lockdown with Ted Cruz. Verdict with Ted Cruz. Verdict with
I want to be
Ted
very clear.
Cruz.
Those things will not be occurring on Verdict with Ted Cruz.
Jury's still out.
We will be discussing those topics.
I'm just being real clear. I ain't dressing in drag for you, Mike.
No, we'll do a lot for ratings, but we won't do that. I want to thank, of course.
I'll let you dress in drag.
Okay, that's weird. So we're less than a minute in, and he's already sexually harassing the young man who he hired as an intern to work for him and interview him. Where he's like, if you put on women's clothes, I'll
I don't know. I got to renegotiate my contract here.
You don't want to make that gesture in front of Ted Cruz. I'm just saying.
We do want to thank all of the subscribers. One thing is...
Yes, absolutely. Do you speak Hindi or...
This is always my fault. I run out of time. We don't get to enough mailbag questions. So I want to start the show today with a mailbag question.
Yeah, here's a mailbag question. What is with that carpet? Honestly, did you just slaughter a bunch of Muppets? Look how shagged that carpet is. What kind of a... This is his show. This isn't him guesting on that dude's show. Ted Cruz had a say in everything. He's like, I want the big mics. I don't want those cheap, shitty Joe Rogan mics. I want the ones that look like I'm recording my duets album with Barbara. And I want these leather chairs that look like they're from Rudy Giuliani's smoking ads. But I do want a shag carpet that looks like it was the one thing we saved in the fire. Love, American style. And then don't spend a lot on graphics. Just do a thing with the name of the show and my name. And I mean, is it too much to make it red? Because never mind. Match it. Make it match my shirt.
And this is one that has been on my mind quite a lot.
Great. So this man is tortured by his job when he's not on the air.
From Matthias. Senator and Mr. Knowles, when will we be able to return to normal? The masks, the lockdowns, the other stuff is just driving me nuts. When are we in the new normal?
No.
Yes, ask Ted Cruz. Fuck Dr. Fauci and everyone else. Don't ask, hey, have you talked to an epidemiologist recently or anything like that? No, ask Ted Cruz when normal will return. And by the way, by normal, we mean a time when Ted Cruz got mad that Trump called his wife ugly. See, we're not in that time now. That time has passed. And I don't know that it's ever coming back.
No. As they say about kidney stones, this too will pass.
Ew.
This insanity will end. A couple months ago, I did a...
Oh, boy. This is going to be good. A kidney stones joke. This too shall pass. And all right, couple months back. This is a couple months back, which... do we mean July or does he mean in the middle of lockdown?
TV interview where I said...
Something nobody cared about.
I guarantee you, if Joe Biden wins the presidential election, the week after the election,
I saw this.
COVID will be cured.
You got in a lot of trouble for this.
Well, actually, at the time I gave the interview, I mean, it aired, but it didn't get a lot of attention. And then last week,
yes,
it seemed every lefty journalist in America discovered it and went on TV ranting and raving about it.
I saw it. I said, why? Where did they dig this up? Are they all on a...
Yeah, nobody watches your interviews. How do they even know, these lefty journalists?
Email chain together?
There clearly is a, Commie Reporters of America listserv that they're all on.
Yeah.
Because
Commie Reporters of America. Commies. So only communists give a shit about Ted Cruz. So that means it's... All right.
As the word went out that we're pulling up this 2-month-old interview, Look, I think, well, to be clear, Joe Biden has not been elected president yet. He may
important
be
point,
when
yep.
this litigation is
He has.
over, but it's still being litigated.
No, it isn't.
But it's interesting. I think
Say something. Say anything. Say something that actually it qualifies as a sentence that answers the question of the person. The person, this is a human being who, for other than the obviously masochistic reasons that I watch some of this shit online, wants to know when we're going to stop wearing masks and go back to relative normal. You want me to tell you guys? You want to know? May, June of next year. That's when. There will be fits and starts of it. There will be a surge and then a drawback and then a surge, and then we'll get to a point where people think that because frontline care, like healthcare workers and elderly people have started getting enough shots, that the chances start to, mathematically go down, so they start to give less of a shit, and then a spike of people will die because these assholes want to go out too early, and then there's a bunch of the, anti-vaxxers who will measle their way through this and kill a bunch of their family, but the general public will start getting access to a vaccine if they feel like they move around enough to need it, or they live outside a certain bubble of stuff, and companies will start paying for, their employees to get it if they want it, and that, May, June, that's when stuff really actually starts to go back to normal. Was that so hard?
for some Democrats, there was no doubt as COVID was going on. And let's be clear, COVID is a real virus. It is serious. It can be life-threatening. And all of us have taken significant steps to try to keep people safe.
Oh, so you haven't been to the White House lately is what you're saying.
But there was no doubt there were a lot of Democratic politicians.
Is it blue in his hair? No, I think it's the blue lighting and the blue sign, and his hair's white. And every bounce he's getting, but for the cactus, which is behind him, the symbolism of this whole thing is quite frightening. And by the way, thanks, Christina AFF, for gifting those subs to people. I appreciate that. Don't forget to subscribe on Twitch. Help us out. It's one of the ways to support the show, especially if you have if you are an Amazon Prime user. It doesn't cost you anything. You can use your Amazon Prime account to subscribe to the show on Twitch, and it helps us out for free. There you go.
Using this crisis for political advantage by decreeing shutting down churches.
Or not doing it and using it as an opportunity to murder lots of people, especially black people and Hispanic people, because people of color have been affected by it. So rushing to get back open before you have a handle on it, using it as a form of racist, passive eugenics, that would also qualify under the standard that you're setting up. You weird camp counselor, somebody's weird uncle, Wolverine cosplaying before you're questioned by the people from Law and Order SVU.
Exercising extraordinary power.
What's extraordinary about saying socially distance, wear a mask when you go out? Businesses can't congregate 20, 30 people in a small area that's not ventilated enough to do it because we don't have the methodology to track and trace. Does fish no longer stink from the head? Or
what's interesting is some of those Democratic politicians, they're still doing it, and I don't know. It's almost like they
actually care. You're the only person puzzled by this.
That they have Stockholm syndrome or something, that they've repeated it so many times that they've convinced themselves.
By the way, they're using a what's called a second shooter in this. There is an automated camera that is doing a dolly on this. It's a nice piece of gear, about $700.
But
but it's not good enough for him.
Two sides to it, because
are there?
I agree. And
Michael Knowles, host of the Michael Knowles Show. Well, you're not right now, Michael Knowles. You're the host of Verdict with Chit Chats with Ted Cruz.
And I actually want to give you a little credit here. Your prediction, I know you'll resist that. Your prediction was right. What was it, 3 days or something after the election? We have the announcement of a vaccine, 95% effective.
And what a crock. What an okay, that pissed me off. Pfizer
The Russians said it 2 weeks before the election. Why don't you believe them?
literally the week after the election said,
Yeah.
"Hey, look, we've cured it now.
Convenient.
We have."
They didn't cure it. They have a vaccine. It requires 2 doses. They have to be kept at sub-zero temperatures, 70 degrees below zero. We do not have the ability through, urgent cares and places like that, do not have the refrigeration to give it to enough people. It is a process that will take months and months. It's not out right now.
have a vaccine, and it's like,
We don't have a vaccine. They believe their vaccine has 95% efficacy, but they have no way of getting it to everybody. And by the way, the Brits just started giving injections today. They beat us to it. So if Trump is the king of all media and he magically farts freedom, how come we're waiting for him? Thank you, Templeton. Oh my God, thank you so much. Bless you. I appreciate that. Sorry, my chat was frozen for a second. I didn't see it. Thank you so much.
I'm trying to keep this PG rated, so I'm not going to say actually what I wanted to say there.
What? Something like "fuck you," Ted Cruz?
But they couldn't have announced it the week before the election?
No, because it technically wasn't finished by then. The rush of it, and by the way, they had nothing to do with Operation Warp Speed. Nothing.
Of course they could have. And
Based on what?
and it's, look, it's
What? Why could none of the ones that were involved in Operation Warp Speed, Operation, of course, Fart Steed, we call it, why did none of them announce before the election? Oh, because all the companies that work with the Trump administration on this still haven't gotten there yet. All the ones you were directly overseeing, all the ones Trump was directly overseeing with his task force, haven't come up with one yet.
big pharma
Big Pharma. Please, Republicans, start complaining about Big Pharma.
being totally in the tank for the Democrats. I mean,
Yeah, they've always been. That's been the thing, is that, ever since the Affordable Care Act, Big Pharma has been in the tank for Democrats.
it was nakedly political. That, by the way, not only that, the media mocked President Trump
Yes.
for saying we will have a vaccine in November, December. They said,
Yeah, we don't have one in November, December. The Brits do. The Belgians had one. The one we're getting is being flown in from Belgium.
ridiculous, it's impossible.
Yeah, because you had to rush all the safety standards on it. And what happened? All the ones that were involved in Warp Speed haven't done it yet. They've all had failures because they were rushing and they tripped over their own feet.
And of course, we have it the week after the friggin' election.
And that's not the extent of the politicization. You have a lockdown happening again. The reason I bring up this question from
And Pfizer said, by the way, it's the science. That's why we announced it. Well, they're right. It's a scientific fact. There was an election on November 3rd. That was the
scientific
science
precision.
driving.
You have it. Yes.
Yeah.
No, the reason I bring
And they say that the right wing isn't funny.
this question up about the normal is we're locking down again, and yet you have, for instance, the LA supervisor coming out and saying we need to lock down, we need to close down restaurants, it's a matter of safety, and then hours later going to a
Melinda.
restaurant. We have my governor, Mr. Mussolini, in office
Mussolini, that's adorable.
out there who says...
Just to be clear, he's not your governor anymore.
That's right. Oh, talk about Stockholm Syndrome. I keep going back to the California days. Right, I left La La Land. He decrees all of these mandates and then goes to a very fancy restaurant, the French Laundry, and has a nice meal, and it goes on for a long time. No distancing, no masks. There are a lot of other politicians.
There were 12 people in the entire venue. They were all people who largely knew each other or worked together or were always around each other. Optics bad, reality not a big deal.
Who are saying one thing and doing
By
another.
the way, Gavin Newsom, when he was at the French Laundry having this fancy dinner, my understanding is he was with a bunch of not just lobbyists, but healthcare lobbyists.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
like this pandemic, we're told you can't go to a restaurant. You can't. You can't be with your family for Thanksgiving. The all-powerful police state has spoken.
The all-powerful police state. Honest to God, This level of hyperbole is probably the most ridiculous part of it all, where they think this guy in his, in his baby blue suit, and this guy in his, in his thrift store professor outfit with their two I guess, like, as much as they dolled up that set, the mic stands are just flat out mic stands. There's nothing artistic about anything. They didn't pick anything cool or create some sort of a design. You didn't, I'm surprised they didn't have a cigar Indian holding the mic. But these guys are talking about a police state. A police state.
And the hypocrisy.
Yeah, they couldn't come up with a lav mic. I know.
Blatant hypocrisy as they're
so blatant.
Yucking it up, crammed in a room, having dinner together. Look, the mayor of Austin told the people of Austin, Austin's often described as a blueberry in a
Wait, you're describing your own outfit.
Bowl of tomato soup. It's the bright blue city in Texas, but the mayor of Austin told everyone, don't go out, stay home this Thanksgiving. You need to stay home. You can't go out. The news just broke that apparently he literally went from making that announcement, jumped on a private plane, flew to Mexico with a bunch of his buddies, and it is...
There's something about it. It's
So they quarantined together for 2 weeks?
It's funny, you kind of laugh about it. It is so infuriating. It is so disrespectful to our intelligence and to our American people who have civil rights, and to see the politics.
Yeah, to have civil rights. Your civil rights are just taken away. When the mayor says don't, it really is. It's the same thing as having the Gestapo at your door, isn't it? Like a politician going, you shouldn't. It's, it's like those Gestapo tactics that Michelle Obama used with, trying to push broccoli.
Saying one thing and then flagrantly disregarding what they've just said is very frustrating.
Well, look.
They all got tested. They all flew down together. They all stayed in one group. They all came back. You mean like that?
They know that the extremes they're advocating are a crock. And the fact that they don't obey them. And of course, in today's politicized world, saying that quickly becomes, oh my.
What do you think the odds are that Michael and Ted got tested today before they gathered for this?
My goodness,
or yesterday.
You don't think we should do anything. We should all lick each other and just ignore that there's a virus. No, listen, all right, Thanksgiving. I was with my family with Thanksgiving. My parents are 81 and 86. We try to protect them. We tried to keep them
from the China hoax,
separated from other folks with some distance. Now we still allowed them in the house and fed them turkey, like there was.
Well, then you didn't.
You didn't shun your elderly parents on Thanksgiving?
By the way, that is one of the cruelest aspects of these COVID lockdowns, is particular seniors who've been alone, who've been isolated.
Yeah. Okay. The boomers and the next gens that do everything they can to skip a holiday with their parents and the elderly in their family, and then act like a second without them during the holidays is so heartbreaking. Like, what's heartbreaking? If they die and you never get a holiday with them ever again. People that old have been through some shit. They get it.
The people who have passed from COVID or from other things, who've passed alone because hospitals won't let families in. I mean that's
because they don't want more people passing. Ted Cruz would be the guy in a zombie movie who sees a woman he had a crush on who has since become a zombie and thinks, now it's time to make my move.
Those are heartbreaking.
I'm going to sleep with her. She's finally going to give in.
Tragedies.
Well, NBC News just released this report. They said, shocking report. Elderly people who have been kept alone and away from all of their loved ones are dying of loneliness. And you say,
They're not dying of loneliness. No, loneliness is not a comorbidity. Loneliness is not actually going to kill you. Loneliness can lead to things that might kill you, but aren't there other ways to guarantee that people aren't lonely in this time? They're like, what was it, Sam? It was ennui. You sure about that? No, I'm pretty sure he's just lonely.
Some people could have told you that. Actually, we did tell them that. They call the people who...
Yeah, we've been working on a loneliness missile to be added to the NDAA, but they viewed it as a pet project, and it never got into the amendment.
Take these other considerations into their mind. They call them science deniers. I like to call those people philosophy deniers or theology deniers or family deniers.
Yeah, family deniers. I'm a family denier because I don't want my elderly parents to die. Philosophy deniers? Philosophy deniers. Yes. Jesus. Listen to that.
Who take these other considerations into their mind. They call them science deniers.
Yes. People who deny shit like gravity and impact velocity and germs.
I like to call those people philosophy deniers or theology deniers or family deniers.
This is a weird way for Michael Knowles to tell Ted Cruz that he wants to raw dog him.
There are other aspects that you've got to...
Science deniers.
And science deniers.
Like, let's be clear. If you have elderly people and they don't go to the doctors and they don't get checkups for their heart and they don't get other medical conditions treated and they're alone and depressed, really bad things happen.
Yeah.
That's called science. Like this is...
Right.
Yeah, but that's not the option they're talking about. If you're just not contacting them or the people and their families aren't contacting them, what the shit does that have to do with... Well, it's the COVID lockdown that's doing it. Maybe you're not reaching out to them enough. And by the way, it's a great moment to remind everybody, since we're going to be in a good portion of this for a while, reach out to somebody that might be outside your normal circle. We haven't done that in a little while. And it's a good thing to remind everybody who watches the show. There are people in your family that you get in contact with great regularity. They might be your tight-knit group of friends, but there are people on the just outside your acquaintance barrier or your the regular contact circle that you have now in your life that you could reach out to and go, hey, I wonder how they're doing. I wonder how they're feeling right now. And letting them know you're thinking about them could be the very thing that helps them get through this. So anyways.
The left only believes in science when it suits their political agenda.
I see. Because we don't believe in the bell curve for black people's intelligence? Is that what you're talking about?
Science.
They don't like science when it proves that, Mexican women have cantaloupe thighs and they're good for carrying stuff like Louis Gohmert, the tooth ejectors, can say. I mean, honestly, what do they not...
That is inconvenient for that is not science.
Well, one scientific fact that is new is that, men can become women at just the mere mention of it. And there was a big story that came out, an actress who
I'm glad we're finally handling this. And by the way, he's talking about Elliot Page.
I didn't even recognize. Ellen Page is now identifying as a man, Elliot Page. But you have a tie-in to this story.
Because Ted Cruz used to be Teresa Cruz.
Which is that back during the 2016 campaign, this woman, I don't think you recognized her, she approached you and had an impromptu debate that went viral. I remember the video. I didn't remember it was her.
So I was at the Iowa State Fair. This is 2015 or 2016.
Oh, yeah, when you ran for president and lost horribly. And that's when you let Donald Trump call your wife ugly.
Yeah.
And I was actually grilling pork chops.
Did he answer the question, or did pork chop just...
By the way, a bit of advice, if anyone listening to this podcast ever plans to run for president, since presidential races are getting so crowded, we may have lots of listeners who are going to run for president.
This is not going to be about pork chops, is it?
One bit of advice that I was given is never, ever, ever...
Grill pork chops? Because that's the thing that did it for you. It wasn't the fact that you were a shitty candidate.
Eat the corn dog.
Okay. Now, the way he's laughing right now is the same reason you might laugh about this.
And this is very...
Never eat the corn dog, which is a warning they give you when you go to Rudy's house and the corn dog comes through the hole behind his head.
Very good advice. So both Rick Perry and Michelle Bachmann fell afoul of it.
Yep.
and you got photographs that let's just say were not the photographs they were hoping to characterize their campaign.
No, not flattering.
And my
Provocative.
press secretary in 2016
Said, whatever you do, don't look queer. Don't look gay by eating don't ever eat a corn dog and mix, because people will paint a dick in it. You know? Duh.
was Rick Perry's press secretary 4 years earlier. And at the Iowa State Fair, we were
He handed me a corn dog.
walking through, and she looked over and
Said, where'd you get that corn dog? Why do you want me to eat that? Trump bought it for you. He said you'd like it.
pointed at like a corn dog stand, and she said, "That's where it happened." So don't eat corn dogs, but
Yes.
you can eat a pork chop on a stick. It doesn't create the same
Yes.
phallic imagery.
No, not at all.
And so I was grilling pork chops, and I was eating a pork chop on a stick. I was like enjoying the Iowa State Fair, and
It's great. This is so interesting.
as one does.
and this actress, who I later learned was named Ellen Page, came up to me and started engaging me, and started and with a film crew that was there. And she was this young woman who began arguing with me about gay rights.
Yeah.
And it was fine. I had a perfectly fine conversation, and
Yeah, perfectly fine.
I just
That's why it went viral. People were like, guys, check out this perfectly fine conversation with Ted Cruz.
discovered afterwards that she was this actress that was running around filming these things, and
Weird that people were running around in Iowa filming things during a presidential campaign.
I have to admit, there's a Netflix series that she's in called The Umbrella Academy, which I've watched both seasons, and it's pretty. I watch a lot of.
Bullshit.
I like superhero movies. I like
I can tell by your physique.
sci-fi.
I can tell by your grasp of science.
I watch a lot of things, but Umbrella.
Heavy on the phi. Not so much the psi. I like the phi. Is there philo-phi?
Academy's pretty good.
Yeah.
Like philosophy fiction?
And
This is something I've noticed with conservatives is we can enjoy the work, particularly artwork, made by radical leftists.
You mean people you paint as radical leftists? You mean like you love James Woods movies, but he's just a little too commie for you?
Even if we don't like their politics.
well, and the alternative is don't enjoy any music, don't watch any sports, don't ever go to the theater, don't go to any movies, don't watch TV. Look, I get that those worlds are, at least the people who are vocal and outspoken are almost all leftists. But
Why would that be? And by the way, leftists, no. Democrats, sure. But why? Why? Why are artists in particular, especially musicians and actors, and in some cases comedians, why are they so fixated on the rights and privileges of people who have been marginalized, and of course the plight of the middle class? Why so much of a focus on that? Why aren't they just happy to perform live on a Saudi prince's boat for a lot of cash? Well, one, those gigs are rare and very weird, and they sound dangerous. But the main one would be is because I think most actors, especially if you're in movies or you're on a cable series specifically, you want people to have a little extra money in their pocket at the end of the month. You want them to be doing better than they need so that they can choose your art form. It is the most direct entrepreneurial form of art that exists, is acting and film and television series in a lot of ways, because you want people to be doing so well they can watch your stuff. They can afford to go to the movies. Whereas if you just want to gut their entire lives like Ted Cruz and all these guys go, hey, sorry, if you're not it's a meritocracy, folks. If you don't make it, you don't make it.
I like theater. I like movies. I like TV. I like sports. I like
Ted Cruz. It's just he likes everything. That's what I like about him, is he just likes stuff.
video games.
Yeah.
And you don't
I like video games. What video games does Ted Cruz play? Mario Kart? You like video games.
have to embrace the politics of the people producing it.
There does seem to be an irony, though, that the left is always talking about how there are too many straight white men.
Let me just say for the record,
Neither of you are straight white men?
this is the second time today I've seen proof that Michael is a New Yorker. Earlier he said coffee, and there was a W in it.
Yeah,
And just a moment ago you said talking.
I know. This is really...
I'm sorry. I just had to...
You can take the boy out of New York. You can't take the New York out of the...
He has, actually. He's taken a boy out of New York at some point.
This did occur to me, though, that Hollywood is always talk.
I'm sorry, but this is dull as shit. I love you guys, but this is ridiculous. Think about this is a show. This is on all the time.
Talking about how...
And these guys are just tickled to be talking to each other.
Self-conscious.
Now, I know I am. I'm going to start talking about how things are horrible as well. Hollywood is always talking about how there are too many straight white men in the movie.
Is that what Hollywood is always talking about? Hollywood is always talking about how there are too many straight white men in all these roles.
So it would seem that this news story about this actress who now identifies as a man would run afoul of their own orthodoxy. But as you point out, the left doesn't really seem to care about these points they make, whether it's on science, whether it's on gender theory. It seems as though if the left did not have double standards, they would have no
standards at all. Okay, why that Elliot Page is on the Umbrella Academy, that as a trans man, they have every right to define themselves as such, and now that Elliot Page is recognized as a straight white male, no one minds their existence, and they should, because that's your preconceived notion of how things go. As a straight white male, I'm just curious.
Standards at all.
Years ago, I was doing...
Louis Gohmert in a van down by the river. You were murdering people as the Zodiac.
On Squawk Box, which, by the way, is a great show. It's one of my favorite shows
So
to do on
good.
CNBC. And because you get in really substantive interviews. And I've done a couple times where I've done the whole hour and talked about...
Yeah, I don't doubt it's just exciting. They just keep you on.
All sorts of things. But I was on one time, and it was the day of or the day after Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, came out as gay.
Yeah.
And so...
Yeah. Who didn't see that coming? I mean, have you seen the AirPod box that it comes in? I mean, how do you not?
One of the liberal...
Why is he laughing at that moment? Look at Michael
Knowles'
Knowles'
times
response.
where I've done the whole hour and talked about all sorts of things.
Where Tim Cook comes out as gay, and watch when he brings it up. Watch Michael Knowles'
one
face.
Time, and it was the day of or the day after Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, came out as gay.
Yeah.
And so, one of the liberal hosts...
Why is that funny? Why is that like, oh yeah, Apple, gay, like that's, is that what we're carrying away with us?
They're asked, well, what do you think about that? I'm like, I don't think anything of it. He's like, well, what do you mean you don't think? Aren't you upset?
Surely you stay up at night thinking about this question.
And I'm,
I don't care as long as he doesn't want to get married or be around me.
Reached in my pocket. I said, look, Tim Cook is in charge of making my iPhone. I want him to keep making really cool iPhones because I love my iPhones. And beyond that, what do I care?
Yeah.
And
I got pilloried by right-wingers going, gay is a sin, and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, what, the left stomped on you?
That made no sense to them.
Yes, of course. No, it is this...
To them? You were on Squawk Box on CNBC.
This obsession.
Yeah, that liberal cesspool of the CNBC.
And they sort of project that onto the rest of us. We're going to get a lot more of that if Joe Biden does ascend to the presidency.
He has. He will.
We started the show with that question about the new normal. It seems that now...
Yeah, and you never bothered to answer it.
Now, the definition of normal has...
Is gay everywhere, and you can't escape gay, and you... Oh, no.
Changed, mentioned men in dresses, but things have gotten way, way crazier than that.
And by the way, on that...
Yeah, because we never had men cross-dressing or trans people before, transsexuals or transgender people. That's like, when did that shit start?
Whole men in dresses things. I have to admit...
The whole men in dresses thing. You mean Rudy Giuliani when Trump motorboated him?
Prior to this week, I had...
Do you mean Monty Python?
absolutely no idea who this Harry Styles guy was. Candace Owen, I'm a big fan of. I like her, and she got in
As men in dresses go, Candace is rock solid. I agree.
this Twitter dispute, and I was kind of like, okay, so some dude was on the cover of, what is it, Vogue, I think?
Yeah, I guess.
In a dress, and I'm like, all right, who is he? And I Googled him to try to figure out who is this guy.
Yeah, because that's what you're doing in the middle of, because we got a, pandemic going on, and
And apparently he's like, I guess, in some boy band or singer or something.
I guess some movie. I don't know.
And the back and forth, it's like, all right, you want to wear dresses, knock yourself out. By the way, look, people have been, the Romans wore togas. I don't care. But the whole thing seems kind of silly.
But it does seem silly. And
no. Ted, it seems silly to you, but Michael Knowles is very upset about it. Michael Knowles is very upset that gay people should be allowed to express themselves. And he has a curious obsession with it.
It seems almost like a distraction because, sure, it's definitely...
Because you're easily distracted by it?
It's a little weird. The magazine cover's a little weird.
I have to be honest, this is the dullest thing, and this is on all the time. I'm not watching any more of it. I'm done. We watched Louis Gohmert's tooth fall out. That was way more fun. Excuse me. Pardon. That was... there's a lot of dust in that... in the stuff I've been making. This is what I wanted to show you. Okay, so Roseanne, I told you guys, I tweeted about this. Roseanne has her own little show. She lives up in the mountains in Hawaii. And Roseanne was rock solid on Q for a while. And she had Scott Baio on her show. And it came up in my feed magically. And his tooth fell out. So I watched the Scott Baio one, and then I was like, because I did like Funniest Mom in America, the stand-up competition for female comics that we did, and Roseanne was one of the judges, and I hosted it and judged on it as well, and so I feel she's a little, bless her heart, clearly medication is out of balance at times. And but she has her own show doing this stuff, and she had Scott Baio on her channel, and I watched part. I was like, "Oh, come on!" It just kind of came up, and I'm like, "All right." I'm here to tell you that this is the next one that came up in her feed, and I don't know who Melody Krell is. The woman she's interviewing. Like she calls her Mel K. But this conversation, like Scott Baio, there were a couple of times in his thing with her where he seemed to try and keep it together. Like he seemed like he was not like going with her everywhere she wanted to go as far as conspiracy stuff. He's like, yeah, and about Pizzagate, about like that kind of stuff. And he was like, I didn't really get into that. I just, and then he would of course jump into like, I just believe the sun shines out of Trump's backside, and he's the greatest doomer man ever, and that kind of stuff. But like, Baio seems downright sober compared to everyone else she has on. And I want you to watch just the beginning of this with me, because they are all in on every aspect of the election being thrown and COVID's fake and all this kind of stuff. Like, you will hear, and I listened to the beginning of it, and I was like, I'm trying to grasp what the hell. Listen, all right, you'll see what I mean. This is the stuff that normally happens on the station, and I'll show you what I mean. Watch.
Hey, look at me, everybody. It's Roseanne, and guess who I get to hang out with today with this rank hair? I get to hang out with Mel K. Hi, Mel.
Yay. Hi, Roseanne. How you doing?
Okay, normal Zoom call. Everybody's fine. How could this be? They're going to talk about cookies and hanging out and what it's like to have family over, and they're going to, and jobs and whatever, blah, blah, blah.
I'm doing good. I'm glad you're on. It's a good day for internet, I hope, up here in the mountains, in the rainforest. How is it in New York?
Oh, it's horrible. It's freezing. It's a dystopian nightmare. They're about to close down all the restaurants again because of cases. I'm not
Yeah,
sure what cases, since apparently we have no flu anymore. The COVID has
yeah,
apparently cured the flu. So,
yeah. Mental
Cuomo,
cases.
yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, it's a
Was she on SNL?
purposeful destruction of New York City.
The purposeful destruction. The lockdown is a purposeful destruction of New York City. This is where it starts rolling.
You wouldn't believe it. You'd really be
I
horrified.
know. I heard the cops or somebody talking about they were really going after Saturday Night Live, which I thought was pretty amazing. They were saying those elitists sitting up there in their money chairs making fun of the working people of New York who are taking the brunt of the illegitimate
Right.
king, the
Right.
Blasio. I thought that was cool to
The people on SNL were making fun of, I guess, first responders, EMTs, and what? Like, I don't know what she's saying. So, maybe you guys can help fill in some of the gaps, because this is amazing.
frame it as a class war because that's how I see it. Isn't it a class war?
Yeah, it's a class war, sure,
Oh, it's 100% a
100%.
class war. They're picking winners and losers. I mean, that's the bottom line. Also, how do you justify closing all the mom and pop hardware stores and leaving open Home Depot?
Size, the ability to socially distance. The mom and pop ones are very small. They can't survive. It's better to have them be able to get a PPE loan and shut down than to keep the giant box stores open, because people can get the supplies they need, but they can also stay away from each other because of the size of the space and the ventilation they're in. Whereas little places, if they're already cramped in these tiny little Lower East Side hardware stores, it's like going into a hoarder's tool chest.
How do you justify closing all the small, delis and stuff and keeping open Morton Williams? I mean, look, Cuomo is
They're not. They're closing all of it.
behaving
And again, it's about size.
like a mafia boss. That's it. And he's picking and choosing. And it's also that
That's what I always think of mafia bosses as picking and choosing. That's what.
I'm gonna pick a couple of things you can't refuse to choose. One of these days you'll come to me and you'll go, column A or column B? And I'm gonna go, can we have both?
the brown shirts that they've hired, 4,000 people. I mean, what's going on in Brooklyn. They're going
Yeah, the 4,000 brown shirts. What are they doing in Brooklyn?
after the Jews big time and openly. They're making a lot of fuss about canceling Hanukkah and Christmas.
Okay, they're going after. They've had these giant. They're going after these huge wedding gatherings that are against lockdown, regardless of the purpose. If you threw a street party, they wouldn't care. You don't get to come up with a religious reason, or especially on a wedding, because a wedding can wait. I'm sorry, but you can hang out. You're still in a relationship. You can wait to get married till next year. You weren't forced to get married last year. You can wait another year. So unless there's, I don't know what the big hang up is. But for God's sake, she's saying they're targeting Jews because they're Jews, because de Blasio is what? Italian? Is that what we're going with?
And,
it's a war between the Italians and the Jews in New York right now?
if you are a restaurant, but they're about to close indoor dining.
Right. I mean, all the places equally?
Like anyone wants to eat outside in 30-degree weather, so they might as well just close everything. And there's actually no justification for it at all.
No, there's no justification. There's no justification for any of this. I mean, we all know it's, COVID's fake. This is all, something that's been put on by the Illuminati.
It's a, I mean, the only thing I can say
about the New World Order being, a war
Right.
of the very rich billionaires on the working class and the working people of the world, which it doesn't ever seem to get framed that way, but that is in fact what it is. And when they're closing these family-owned businesses, they mostly belong to Jews and blacks. And
Yeah.
so there is a racial contingent to their class war. But don't you just love that these progressives on TV, they're on the side of the oppressor, making fun of the suffering. Boy, I've seen a
Yeah.
change in comedy these few years.
Did we all gather that? Do we all get what that was? So comedy has fallen apart because the so-called progressives, meaning people, I guess we're back to SNL performers, are mocking the poor, because the New World Order is a class war. It's the super rich against the working class.
I guess that's why they didn't want me in there.
Well, they didn't want you in there because you have a voice that transcends race, class,
You said Valerie Jarrett looked like a monkey and you got fired. That's what that was. If she hadn't said that, if she'd even said Valerie Jarrett is unattractive or as ugly inside as she is outside or whatever, she'd still have a show. She would.
Political leaning. And also, I mean, do
you have a list? Are you reading from a list of crazy? Please tell me you have notes of crazy off to your left on the desk.
Bottom line is there is no comedy anymore because...
I beg your pardon. We nearly pissed ourselves laughing here many, many times thanks to, the dude you're about to say is the king of everything.
That's right.
There's no comedy. It's terrible. What in the world did I even do at Flappers the other night?
To do comedy, you have to really first censor yourself, which takes away the whole point.
Yeah, the whole point of being a comic is being uncensored, which is why, Jeff Foxworthy and Jeff Dunham are, clearly puppets of the New World Order.
And like you said, on SNL, they were shaming people that weren't wearing masks.
Yeah, they're humorless bastards, and they are afraid that we might feel joy, a connection to God, nature, and laugh.
That's right. That's what I'm worried about.
Christ, that's the worst thing they could have, and that we might laugh at them.
No laughy.
Which is not allowed, as we know.
Why are you not allowed to laugh at them? What are you not allowed to laugh at? Who's the them in this? Progressives?
There's no place to do so.
No, you don't even. There's no clubs to perform it. Where would you even go to make jokes just because you have a live stream?
Everything that's
there's
no place.
I was fired from my tweet making fun of the elitist class, the ruling class.
You got fired. Wait, what, Roseanne?
I was fired from my tweet making fun of the elitist class.
You didn't get fired for making fun of the elitist class. What are you talking about? Enough of that. And look at the smile on Mel's face. She's like, the elitist class. You can't equate a woman of color with a primate because of the elitists. Get out of here.
The ruling class. And you're not allowed to do that.
The ruling class of whom?
No. Well, not for long, I don't think. I think good things are ahead. But I do believe that...
eventually you'll be able to, say racist jokes from 1935 again. But, fingers crossed, only if Trump gets, if he can convince Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Georgia to flip their votes for him in spite of losing.
They've been calling it a conspiracy theory, this whole Great Reset. But that is absolutely what is going on here.
The Great Reset. Oh, no. They've been calling it a conspiracy theory, but this is about the Great Reset. The Great Reset, by the way, is when they're taking this idea, I think, from some economist wrote a thing about we need to reset the economy so that everybody's involved, so that everybody gets a chance, because there's a lot of entrenched wealth and they've had it forever. And we got to do something about it. So this dude wrote a paper. And so the Build Back Better, so that every American, so we reward work instead of wealth, instead of just wealth, which Biden says a lot, because we're still going to reward wealth, because if you've earned the wealth and you contribute, and that's why you're wealthy, of course. But what they think is that his plan to build back better is, while we're building infrastructure and all this kind of stuff, allow American businesses and Americans to actually participate in this equally, that in and of itself is an attack by the New World Order.
And as you and I have discussed, these are the same people that did World War II.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Sorry. These are the same people that, quote, did World War II. Remember when they did World War II? Remember when they did that?
These are the Nazis. They just left Germany with the help of the Bushes and the Rockefellers and a bunch of other people that are complicit and started the UN. And now...
Wait, I thought the Nazis went to Venezuela and opened up a cave in the Antarctic and now live inside the earth in Agartha through a hole in the South Pole that Admiral Byrd found. Am is anybody checking me on this? I had no idea that the Nazis just left Berlin, set fire to Hitler and his wife, and then started the UN. That's why they keep putting black people in charge of it. What?
They are trying to force us to, give up our Bill of Rights, give up our unalienable rights, and our
unalienable rights,
sovereignty in America. I mean, their plan is a one world order where the entire
the one world order. That's the new world order, but one at a time, I guess.
America is one big nation state run out of their new headquarters, either China or Kazakhstan.
Where? How did that come in? Holy shit.
And they complete
Kazakhstan? What? I like Yakshamesh, and now I've been put in charge. Yes.
Completely or
my wife.
Demolishing New York.
So the Nazis, hold on. I'm never going to.
I believe to make it a smart city, which is tantamount to a AI concentration camp.
Oh, okay. So de Blasio has been put into power so they can make New York into a, quote, smart city, which will therefore turn it into a AI concentration camp. And the amount of nodding going on back and forth while they each say this shit. And by the way, this is like Cliff Notes of what your nutty aunt is seeing on Facebook and YouTube all the time. That's why I wanted to show this. Because like I said, compared to this, Scott Baio's things was like, he was just kind of being a dick.
And if you know what's going on here, the bankers, the same cabal bankers that run the private Fed.
Wait a minute. Are they Nazis too? Jewish Nazis? Is this Ashkenazi versus the Israel versus Judea?
Are running this entire operation, and those are the only. And as the prices go down in New York, and the businesses are decimated, and the people are moving out, and people giving the bank back their keys for their properties, who's coming in and buying it up?
Who?
Them.
Oh, you mean when you get a loan from a bank and you don't pay it, they come and get the property back? When did that? What? How do they even manage that?
And then big.
Well, they won't say Soros because Soros is Jewish. That's a whole different.
Tech has made trillions of dollars off of the COVID too. So now they're going to expand their headquarters, and what they really want is for only to have workers.
She's reading from her checklist. What do they want? They only want to have workers
in these cities, and that's it. And
just workers in the cities. Nobody does anything. Nobody goes to like Broadway. Even the people on Broadway, they're just workers. They're gonna perform. They're gonna do the shows. Nobody's in the audience because nobody can afford the tickets. It's because it'll only be workers.
You have no rights and no freedom and
no rights, no freedom. No wearing double socks when it's cold outside. No hot dogs on a stick.
Privacy and
no privacy for sure.
And I believe
they're going to confiscate. Forget confiscating your guns. They're going to confiscate your drapes. The great drape confiscation is coming. I'm sorry, but these are my blackout curtains. It's how I sleep till noon. Nope.
Cuomo and de Blasio are hook, line, and sinker involved with Bill Gates and the CFR and the UN and Council for and the World Economic Forum, pushing for this smart city in New York City to be their crowning achievement.
And they're really using that intersectionality to get their cannon fodder that are largely, working class.
Yes, because they're using intersectionality to get cannon fodder, because they're going to start recruiting based on your identity as as trans black or trans Hispanic. Transracial pansexuals will be forced to fight the future wars driven by the AI smart city. I'm seriously, what this is like. I mean, this is all. I'm not cutting this up. I still don't.
Kids off the street. They're paying them to agitate to bring slavery back.
Huh? What? They're paying kids to agitate to bring slavery back. What? What is going on?
It just sickens me when I see.
Yes, that would sicken me too if it actually existed. Are you trying to watch Man in the High Castle with a descrambler without paying for Amazon Prime? Is that what's happening?
But you haven't heard a lot from BLM later. They might have got smart because a lot of their leaders have been paid.
Yes, okay. This is where the two philosophies, I'm going to predict, the two philosophies collide.
This is not a great.
Black Lives Matter, you haven't heard a lot from them lately, largely because they, I guess, got a street named after them, or working on a strategy to deal with police violence. That there hasn't been a shooting that's drawn out that kind of national attention the way George Floyd did. The idea is that Biden won, and that there would be a process by which that they would have some of their concerns answered, and that goes on. But please, I don't know. I'm starting to think normally.
Grassroots movement. This is not our blood and our people. I heard a lot of, really brave.
Black Lives Matter is not our blood and our people.
People in the black community saying that this is not our movement. And of course,
a lot of them, Candace Owens, and Candace Owens is producer.
See that burning down black businesses and stuff. But, they needed those black faces to sell the we're doing our best to bring back slavery, because black kids wouldn't
black kids will only sign up to be slaves if black people convince them to be. So what
intellectually do that, so they had to wrap it in a bunch of hoodwinking and bullshit.
Sure. I mean, you wouldn't you? If you were trying to bring back slavery, I mean, it'd have to have a, it'd be a hard sell. I'm just saying you'd have to have a marketing genius. Somebody who could, wrap it into hoodwinks and bullshit.
But they might have got smart already.
They might have gone, wait a minute, slavery doesn't sound fun at all. I'm starting to wise up.
They're the ones they want out in the streets so they can arrest them. That's why they got Kamala Harris. Her big talent is arresting black youth.
So Joe Biden picked the first black and Indian woman to be his VP. Because she's not because of her policies, not because of her potential future in the party, not because of their ability to agree to disagree, and her being a sounding board for policies and the like. Not because of that, but because she's good at locking up black kids.
Hello.
Right.
Well, don't forget also.
Don't forget.
LeBron James and Obama put together their army of 30,000 poll watchers, and LeBron James went to all the NBA stadiums and had them open up for their polling places. And
I'm sorry, I'm starting to short circuit just listening to you. Wait, LeBron James and Obama, are they part of the selling slavery part, or are they just what?
There's all the fraud. In the polling, in the arena in Detroit, in the arena in Dallas, in the arena in Philadelphia. These are the people that Barack Obama and LeBron James and a couple other NBA players trained to be at the polls.
I see. So Obama and LeBron trained all these people to be at the polls so that they could cheat and make Joe Biden president. so that they could get Kamala Harris in a position to arrest black kids. Huh?
And you know who's going to take the fall?
Who? Gilbert Gottfried. No, that's not it. What was the guy who was like the lead villain in One Crazy Summer? Nah, it's probably not him either. Whatever. Andrew Ridgeley.
Them.
Oh, no, I should have. Them.
And
the people who did the actual cheating will get busted for the cheating. Weird.
You know, as they don't care, just like
you know,
where's burning down? It's all of these Trump.
Where's burning down?
Was put together these amazing opportunity zones.
Oh yeah, you mean the tax breaks for rich people where they don't even they can invest in these areas and build stuff up, and because of the rule change he did about quote unquote suburbs, they don't actually have to be low cost housing, so they're able to use his opportunity zones to bulldoze apartment buildings and the like, and just claim the property, invest in it, outprice black people in the area like he and Kushner have done during their entire careers, so that they can't even afford the new apartments in their areas, and then slowly gentrify them out of existence and basically squash all the minority parts of a city into a smaller and smaller area until they leave.
With Tim Scott and Dr. Carson, and guess what they burnt down?
What?
The opportunity zones.
And they took the money too. Democrats moved in and took all those funds.
Democrats moved in and took all those funds. There are no funds for the opportunity zones. They are tax breaks. You have to invest, and then the government will pay you back if your investment fails because the neighborhood couldn't sustain it, so you can write it off. There's no loan guarantees like there were with promise zones. There's no direct investment like there was with enterprise zones under Clinton. Under the Trump opportunity zones, they simply give you a tax break on investing.
Right.
Right. But wrong.
Because now they pay the bills.
That's how they pay the bills. That's how the black Democrats in the areas pay the bills, is by stealing the tax breaks from the people who get a tax break if and when their investment doesn't work. What?
That's what they're paying the kids with to riot.
Oh, I see. So they're taking the money. So they're taking the money that Trump and the Trump Co. and Kushner write off on their taxes. They're taking that money, which doesn't physically exist. It just is a money they don't have to pay anymore because they can cut it against what other taxes they pay. So it's a tax break along with it, but never exists as actual cash that comes from the government. They take that money that's never made flesh, and they pay the black kids to riot to bring back slavery so that Kamala Harris can arrest them. Okay, I'm with you. All right, she almost lost me for a second. I brought it back. I thought I was losing my grasp on what was going on, but I think I've got it. I think I've got this.
Right. No, you think if they would pay the kids, they'd give them a job that had a future rather than prison at the end of it, but they really do want them in prison, don't they? Because they are racist.
Yeah, and the truth is that what was going on, if you saw some of the testimony, and these are, both of the women were, I believe, of Indian descent and Americans, they were saying that the treatment of the white people by these groups at the polling places.
Oh, you mean the all Chinese look-alike lady?
Was horrible. It was like, because everyone's been ignoring that there's a war on white people in South Africa, but they were.
Huh? But now there's a war on white South Africans in Detroit at the polling station, and all you got to do is show up with a good God.
Saying as people who were born overseas and now are American citizens that they had never seen anything like this. So I think they took their best and brightest of the Marxist leaders of Black Lives Matter and put them in these polling places.
Okay, so the best and the brightest of the Marxist leaders. Are we talking like world's tallest little person? Is this what we're going with? And they put the best and the brightest of the Marxist leaders within Black Lives Matter, and they put them in charge of the polling place, even though the vast majority of the people who work in those places, including the ones that you used in the video that everybody's flipping out over, are long-term volunteers in the electoral process that have been working, started out as poll workers. They just do it every year. And they're now paid a supervisor's pay. That part. And elderly black women, older black women, or never mind.
And it's the same behavior that you get if you're walking down the street in a Black Lives Matter riot/protest.
Right. That's what happens all the time. When I'm walking down the street and a Black Lives Matter riot/protest happens, what happens?
They're going to look you right in the face and just call you, tell you that you're an evil racist with white privilege.
Yeah,
they don't know who I am.
They are? Why would they say that? Why would they say that to me? A lot of them in the places that I've been, a lot of the people at the BLM stuff that I've been near or actually walked with, noticed quite clearly that I was on a show called Lab Rats and they really liked the show. That was the biggest thing that kind of stood out, since my wife was black on that show, and they didn't say that stuff. But I understand. Probably they'll find their way to it. Maybe I just don't understand. Maybe they'll eventually. But the fact that my character had a black wife on the show, and I basically adopted her son, and we were a family, and maybe it was the mother-in-law storyline that. Never mind.
Because they are trained to apply racial profiling 24/7. That's what they've been brainwashed into. All they do is racial profile.
The Black Lives Matter people are racially profiling 24/7?
People
Right.
of their skin tones.
Their skin tones. Oh, are we talking colorism, or did you just lose me off into another thought bubble?
And boy, it really messes them up to see a black person who doesn't follow along with their herd. Boy, they can't
Oh,
take
you mean like Candace Owens in that crowd? Like Kanye? Yeah. What do they do?
that, can they? They just come unglued.
Oh, terrible. They lose their minds. They say things like, what an asshole. Stuff like that, you mean?
And then
Yeah.
you hear every racist epithet that they say they're fighting against.
You
They
do?
use it.
Really? I guess we're talking about white liberals at this point. I've lost a little bit of. She's lost me a little, but as I'm supposed to understand this. If someone like Candace Owens or the Hodge twins or a black conservative says something, apparently liberals snap so much that they just start blazingly chucking around the N-word. Is that which we pretend to be against until we see someone like Candace Owens, and then it just kind of like leaps uncontrollably out of the mouths of what?
Against that
right.
black person.
Right. And then,
Yeah, right. I mean, they just do, don't they?
all the corporations.
It's just the corporations, right? Yeah, you know what I mean? It's Starbucks making liberals say the N-word whenever Candace Owens says something like Hitler wasn't wrong.
Huh?
Huh? What? Huh?
Right. And then,
This is
all the
this is
corporations.
all. Huh?
Huh?
I
What?
said all the corporations, as you know, and
All of them. All the corporations. Especially these incorporated mom and pop stores in New York.
the media companies,
And the media companies. All the corporations and the media companies. All a big
they come out and reignite that there's systematic racism,
systemic.
that there's all this social injustice. So they're going to now, the banks and the big corporations are going to only hire people, minorities that they feel have been systematically discriminated
Systemically.
against, and they're only going to give loans to those people, thus setting up another round of debt slavery.
Oh, I see. Okay. Sorry. I was confused there for a second. I thought you were like, they're going to help black people and they're just going to start hiring, people of color and giving them jobs that I guess they don't earn in your estimation. But it's really just a trick. I thought you were actually thinking that they were helping, but of course not. They're all corporations are simply hiring black people so that the black people can have a job so that they can attempt to get a loan that they apparently can't afford. And then they're going to, just as an attempt to set up debt slavery, which is, yeah, okay. What?
It's a never-ending cycle.
It is. It's really a never-ending cycle of like slavery, and then people getting rights, and then you give them more rights, and then they get a job, and then they go, hey, I make this much money, but if I pay for this thing like a house over time, I can afford to take my family and put us together and go to an area where there's a better school or something like that. So I'll make payments on it over time. I certainly have to keep a job and all that, but that's really debt slavery.
Of using the minorities and then enslaving the minorities.
Oh, I see. That's the cycle. Okay, good.
And then using them again and then enslaving them again.
Oh, what happens if you skip a step? What if you use them and then just go right back? Like, you don't, isn't slavery using someone? I'm so confused.
And then
the
pop in
standard,
the bubble and get in the house. Hey, drop off your keys after you live okay for 2 years. You know, like they did in 2008. Most of the people who lost their houses were people of color and single mothers of soldiers. That's why I ran for president in 2012. That so disgusted me.
Uh-huh.
They're setting it up again.
Yeah.
They're setting the exact same thing up again.
Yeah, it's so weird. And why have they not learned to not loan money to black people anymore? Seriously.
Again, I'm telling you right now, they are talking about home ownership by minorities.
Terrible. How dare they?
All the cabal banking bloodline families that run the private Fed. That people don't realize it's a private bank that runs our country.
The private bank doesn't run our country. Just saying. The Fed is a private entity, but board members are chosen within it, and we have a say in who the head of. Never mind.
But they are now offering these low interest loans to people that don't qualify based on their race.
That's why they don't qualify? They don't qualify based on their race? Or are you saying they don't qualify, but they're only giving them loans because of their race?
Not and that don't have the education to know that this is exactly what happened.
Yeah, these are uneducated races that don't deserve these loans, and it's really just a trick.
2008.
Thank God Mel K and Roseanne are here to make sure that they're here to protect you. Black people and brown people, from getting loans. You don't have the education to understand this. You don't.
Again.
Of course, if you started to get the education, they'd say you only got into the school because of your color, but whatever.
And then, what's going to happen?
Too. They remember.
What? It's a what?
2008 again. And then,
it's
what's going to happen?
Wipe too. They memory wipe.
Right.
Especially in the minority communities and the Jewish community too. There's been like about 4 memory wipes in the last 6 years that I've seen.
What is she nodding at? What do you mean 4 memory wipes? Yeah. So just there's apparently, is this the AI? Is this what New York does while we're all sleeping? It just kind of walks the country, like zapping us like the creature from Stranger Things?
Right. And
honest to God, are you guys tracking any of this shit? It just seems like it's like refrigerator poetry magnets of conspiracy theories, and they're just chucking them at the fridge and seeing what sticks and reading them in whatever rando order they come up.
Also,
why can they always trick us? Why are Nazis always able to trick
those tricky Nazis? Oh man, that's the problem with Nazis. They're tricky. It's tricky to rock a Nazi right on time. It's tricky. It's tricky. Nazis are
blacks and Jews. Why are Nazis always able to trick blacks and Jews?
I think that's the question we've all been. Finally, somebody said it. Right. The question we've all been asking all this time. Why is it that Nazis are always so good at tricking blacks and Jews? What? Yeah, why is it that they never score at a Ren Fair, but they always manage? I can't really. Let me think on that one. Let me get back to you. I'll write it on my notes for later.
It's something I struggle with.
Yeah, it's something I struggle with too. I mean, not like you. I mean, obviously you're struggling with a grip on friggin' reality.
I don't really understand the liberal mindset that
The liberal mindset of Nazis? Liberal Nazis. They're the worst. You know what I mean? We're going to invade Poland, but only if they really want us to. And basically, if they still want to identify as Polish and keep their governments, then we probably let them do this or whatever. And if at some points they don't have health care, maybe we should give it to them. I mean, we are calling ourselves the National Socialist Party. It doesn't have to be our nation, not just our nation. Liberal Nazis are the worst.
is a Democrat voting for a Joe Biden when his entire organization right now is like Ilhan Omar, AOC, Rashida Tlaib, Presley.
No, they're not. They aren't. I mean, there's a bunch of like progressives who wish they were, but they aren't. As a matter of fact, they were all on board with Bernie Sanders. They begrudgingly came around because they understand that Trump is the threat. But it's not like that. Biden was their first choice. What are you talking about? He's not collaborating with them. He had a unity agreement with them. It was basically a peace deal.
I mean, it's all raging anti-Semites.
Right, the raging black anti-Semites.
And Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, well, I mean, if look no further.
Don't let it fool you that he says he's Jewish.
No. I've been hornswoggled. I've been hoodwinked.
He is not also an anti-Semite. And
yeah, that was Bernie's problem. It's probably why he didn't win this time. Too much of an anti-Semite for but wouldn't that get you further?
So that's
I mean, honestly, if this whole thing concoct the plan you're putting together, it wouldn't be the perfect leader to force through with a bunch of fraud and messing with elections. Wouldn't you put a Jewish anti-Semite in charge of the Marxist? Oh my God.
Become clearly obvious, but in New York,
clearly obvious guys, obviously. Bernie Sanders, clearly a Nazi, probably a banker.
City, the Jews voted for him overwhelmingly, even though Trump has done so much. So
has he done so much?
It's a total disconnect. Just like, we know the KKK, and we know that.
I think.
Yeah, you know the KKK? What are they like? What are they really like? Because I mean, I've never tried their that dessert they make. What is it? Hot cross buns?
They're afraid not to. I think they're afraid not to. It's like peer pressure.
Wait.
I think they're afraid not to. It's like peer pressure.
I think they're fake Nazis because of peer pressure. Is that what she said? Holy smokes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what it is. And is it coming from their leaders? Like, is it coming from the synagogue? Have they infiltrated the...
Yeah, the KKK has totally infiltrated synagogues. I mean, what better plan could you want?
Or, I mean, as you know, and we talked about, so many Jews, especially in America today, they have no connection to Judaism. Plus, if you ask them, a lot of them will tell you they don't believe in God at all.
Oh, atheist Jew Nazis are the worst, aren't they? What do they do again? Okay, hold on. Pausing for a moment. And we're back. Hold on one second. There we go. Beg your pardon. We're later than normal tonight, so dinner plans are all funky. So give me 1 second. Okay, mic's back on. Okay, here we go. Hi, here we go. I'm back. All right. Yeah, we needed a break for that. I had to go bang my head on the cement just to kind of get it back, I hope that. So, yeah. But go ahead.
And, you know, the Black community used to go to church and be very active.
Remember that? Yeah. So I'm sure you're. Wait, hold on. I picked the wrong one. Sorry. Wrong page. Boink. Black people used to go to church. Mm-hmm.
And that also has ended pretty much.
Black people don't go to church anymore.
And but don't think that it hasn't been a plan.
No, this definitely has to be a plan. To be this well coordinated and make this much sense, it has to be a plan. There's nothing loose and frayed and broken and scattered and stupid about any of this. People,
this is a plan.
It was there was a real cutoff so that the spiritual memory, it got cut off from the youth.
The spiritual memory got cut off from the youth.
And they got kidnapped into this social justice bullshit.
They got kidnapped into this social justice bullshit.
Which is really looking for billionaires to help enslave working class people.
That's what, so social justice is about working for billionaires to enslave working class people.
That's what their social justice bullshit is.
I see.
When you do the hourglass flip on it.
When you do the hourglass flip on it, like turn it over, really look at the way. It's like when you do the what sex is this cat flip on it, where you lift it up by its tail and you're like, oh, it's a boy.
Yeah, you're working for a fucking Nazi, you fucking idiot. Why don't you wake up?
Yeah, gosh, you SJWs, you social Jewish warriors. Why don't you know you're working for a fucking Nazi? Why don't you fucking wake up? Don't you realize that fighting for trans rights is really just a way of enslaving people with debts they can't ever pay off? I'm so lost.
Dipshit.
I know.
Dipshit.
You're working for a fucking Nazi, you fucking idiot. Why don't you wake up? Dipshit.
I know.
I know. Me too. I think I do this all, you know. By the way, all the cues you've seen online, this is all that swirls in their head nonstop.
I know.
They can't.
Sorry. Even the trolls have left. Because I'm not making fun of Trump. That's why.
No. But it's a lack of education. You know, when Obama came in with his
I think it's an over-education. They go to college and learn it. That's where they get brainwashed. They get uneducated in college, de-educated. That's why they call it academia, my friends that are in. Because the first thing they did.
They call it academia.
When they started so many things was just get rid of women professors. It's a witch burning.
Okay, so they're getting rid of academia. Got rid of female professors, which, by the way, there are more of now, and just like there are more female students in academia than there are male students. It's 60-40, I think, on most campuses and greater in a lot of other ones. The degrees are another story altogether. But all right.
Yeah, and they don't but they dumbed down the kids to begin with. Once Common Core came in, that was it. Teaching children became about getting their data by Bill Gates and Eric Schmidt and them, and it ended up being that kids just learn. They just learn how.
Yeah, no. Let Roseanne interrupt. She wants to jump in on this whole Bill Gates thing.
To take tests.
You know who was the true father of Common Core was Robert S. Byrd, the head of the KKK. He's the one. Kathy O'Brien is my friend, and he was her quote unquote owner in the MK Ultra project, and he was a complete racist. And his whole thing was to get it used to be called whole education or universal education, and they changed it to Common Core, but it's just a mind control program.
Yeah, mind control, to take kids and teach them how to control their minds to learn baseline math and reading skills.
Right, and you know who runs it?
How to think and not learn.
How to think and not learn, which is the worst Napoleon Hill book ever.
Right, and it's run out of the UN, and it's financed by the Rockefeller Foundation and the Ford Foundation, and it is, well, as we've discussed, the whole basis. Byrd was very involved also in the creation of the UN. The whole basis of the UN is anti-God, anti-sovereignty, anti-America. and their
And
entire
nation state.
philosophy, right? And their philosophy is, and which is also Common Core philosophy, is based on this woman, Alice Bailey, and
She opened up her screen to talk about these things. She's made notes.
she wrote,
Right.
still to this day, at the UN, they have the Lucis Trust Meditation Room. It used to be called the Lucifer Publishing Meditation Room, but now it's the Lucis Trust Meditation Room, and it is exactly what it sounds like.
It's an orgy nonstop. There's eyes wide shuts parties with the big pointy faces, and everybody just walking around naked in these big red robes. And then like they come through and Die Jesu Domine Dona eis requiem. Die Jesu. Is that what happens?
And there is no connection to God or freedom at the UN.
Not at the UN.
The entire concept, the Rockefellers built the UN to lead us into the New World Order.
And what's the New World Order according to you?
And I just wanted to tell you, I brought up real quick on my side.
By the way, the New World Order is democracy and a unification of the democracies on the planet to push back against monarchy, theocracy, kleptocracy, and dictatorships, authoritarian regimes. But okay.
That the 10 New World Order points of strategy.
Okay, 10 New World Order points of strategy. We're going to do these, and then I got to get out of here because I can't listen to this bullshit.
From Alice Bailey.
Alice Bailey is a little fine lady, and she knows how to make some cookies.
That is actually to be found at the Lucis Trust at the UN.
She's still there. She's like the Crusader knight in The Last Crusade who's guarding the cup. She's just been there for hundreds of years.
The 10
You have chosen poorly.
guiding principles, which also are the guiding principles of Common Core, which they call universal education, are: 1, take God and prayer out of education.
Okay, that's the first thing. Take God and prayer out of education. What do God and prayer have to do with education? Would you want an assigned religious deity for the school? Especially if you're Jewish, would you want the dominant Christian society to insist that your child worship Christ while in school?
2, reduce parental authority over children.
2, reduce parental authority over children. This is in the UN Charter of something in the Lucifer room. The parental authority over children. So honor thy father and thy mother.
3, destroy the traditional Christian family structure.
The traditional pagan family structure, Christian family structure, which is what's the original Christian family structure? It's a mom, a dad, a mom, and the baby that mom had with God.
4, if sex is free, make it available, legal, and easy.
All right. Now you've got my attention. I was, there's certain things, even a broken clock looks like it has a boner twice a day. I think they're...
5, make divorce easy and legal, free people from the concept
Well, yeah, if sex is easy and legal, why would you need, honestly.
of marriage.
What's the alternative? When you flip this on its head, to make divorce expensive and
For life.
and difficult, so that women who are being beaten have to spend a lot of money to escape.
Make abortion legal and easy. 6, make homosexuality an alternative lifestyle.
Legal and easy.
7, debase art, make it run wild.
Debase art, make it run wild. Debase art. Oh, so Maplethorpe stuff, riding crop in the Yahoo.
8, use media to promote and change minds.
8, use media to promote and change minds. Like, what they're talking about. The Ellen episode.
9, create an interfaith movement. 10, get...
Well, why would you create an interfaith movement if you were trying to eliminate religion altogether? Are you eliminating religion from the classroom so you can create an interfaith movement? Maybe there's another one.
Governments to make all these laws. 9, create an interfaith movement. 10, get governments to make all these laws and get the church to endorse them to support it.
So 10, force these into, wait, a forced interfaith movement?
And that is actually real.
That's super real.
And that can be found to this day at the UN headquarters in their meditation room, which is a giant.
Amongst a lot of other things that they want people to meditate on, that people can put in there from all over the world for you to meditate on. I'm going to guess that in the meditation room, they have like tomes of all religions available to you if you want to meditate on them. They've got a bowl of fortune cookies. They've got a Zoltar machine.
Black stone, and the meditation room is shaped like a pyramid with a hole at the top for the 1,000 points of light. And we let this UN and the CFO.
Wait a minute. Reagan's 1,000 points of light or Bush Sr.'s 1,000 points of light?
Are run around this country. And of course, Bill Gates, Ted Turner, the Rockefeller family are the biggest donors to this Lucis Trust.
Totally.
At the UN. So
what are they donating to? Is it just a meditation to keep it stocked like a Christian Science reading room? Whoops. Oh my gosh.